Do your hips still feel tight no matter how much stretching or foam rolling you do? What if I told you it wasn't your hip flexors or your groin, but actually a lack of lateral rotation? I see this all the time in the clinic with people doing good techniques, good exercises, but not getting the success that they should for all their efforts. What I'm going to show you today are my top 3 favorite lateral rotation exercises to help open up your hip. I will demonstrate 1 mobility, 1 strengthening, and 1 stretching exercise. At the end of this video, I will also have all the sets, repetitions, and how frequently you should do this in the week. The hip 90-90 is one of the most common exercises for hip mobility. We're going to focus on the emphasis being the lateral rotation. The goal is to have 1 hand behind your back, and you're going to rotate your body towards the rotated hip and having the knee try and touch the ground. So as you rotate to switch sides, you're putting 1 hand back, turning your body, and trying to get that front knee to come down to the ground. You can use your hand as an assist. So it looks like this as you work through a few repetitions. You only need to hold for 1 to 2 seconds. It's meant to be that opening repetition style. With the advanced version, you're going to have both your hands up, and you're going to add a hinge component. So as you're rotating to the side, the knee should be down and you're hinging forward at the hips. It doesn't count if you're just rounding your back because you're not getting that glute stretch with that deep hinge that I'm trying to be specific with. So to switch positions and show the hinge, as you're turning around, spine is neutral, knee is on the ground, and you're coming forward. So you're hinging at the hip, feeling that stretch through the glute, coming back up, switching sides, hinge forward at the hip, feel that stretch in the glute. The most difficult progression for this exercise is adding the get up component. So as you rotate, you're going to try and pop your hips up. What I'm thinking to myself is that the front knee is pushing down into the ground to really assist in popping myself up through here. This helps to work a little bit of that strength, but that active mobility through that deep range of motion here. Now we really need to strengthen the lateral rotators of our hip. To begin, we're going to do a very basic clamshell exercise. Using a band around our knees, we're going to lay down on our side. Hand on the hip because you want to make sure that you're isolating it to the glutes and not rotating or opening, twisting your back at all. So it's going to be all from the glutes, moving your knee up towards the ceiling. If this is a little bit too challenging where you're not getting that full range of motion, then you can remove the band. But you'll start with this one to really get that isolated contraction. As you get stronger, you're going to come up into a modified side plank position, really keeping your hips forward. Again, you're going to have your hand on the top of your hip because you're going to watch yourself to make sure that you're not twisting from your back to open up the band, that you're keeping it really isolated to the hip. I love this version because you work all of your core muscles on the supporting side as well as the hip. So this hip gets a nice isolated workout. So then when you turn around and then switch sides, this poor hip has already been working, so it's working a little bit extra now as you isolate the other side. So it's a great burner exercise. It's really important as you progress through this side plank with banded rotation that you work on increasing the repetitions and then eventually increasing the tension of the band before going on to various other exercises or different challenges. Now we're going to add the stretching component. I'm going to go with the figure 4. This is the one that I most commonly do for myself and I give my clients. There's a couple versions you can do. The most basic one is sitting, crossing your legs into that figure 4. You can even push your hip or your knee down towards the floor. If that feels pretty easy, you can also do grabbing behind your thighs, pulling your thigh towards your chest. I find this one quite effective, but I find it a little bit cumbersome to hold this position for a full 1 minute. So what I really like to do is I'll use something like a foam roller, or I'll even use my couch or a seat to give my foot some leverage, so then my foot can push into it and I can use my free hand to push my knee away to really get that deep stretch. So the higher I have my foot pushing up on something, like if it's pushing on the couch, I can really hold that there and then hold my knee out to work on that deeper part of the stretch. But for the purpose of working on the lateral rotation, we do want to be pushing our knee away to open it up. If I was focusing on a glute max stretch, I'd be trying to pull my knee to the opposite chest to stretch the glutes. But right now I'm working on the deep hip rotators, so I'm pushing away from myself. Working on the lateral rotation is just one component of opening up your hips. As we know, there's working on the front, like your hip flexors, your hip flexion, your hip abduction. There's a lot that goes into keeping your hips open. But if you're doing all these things, the lateral rotation is often one thing that is forgotten. And this might be a great way to try and elevate your squat and your depth, or to give you that relief that you're looking for or might be missing. For the frequency of the exercises, you can do the mobility exercise, the first one daily, definitely for warm-ups before all of your workouts. You want to be thinking of 1 or 2 sets of somewhere between 15 to 20 repetitions. So that's 15 per side. The strengthening exercise you'd be wanting to do at the end of your workouts 2, maybe 3 times per week max, and you'd be wanting to do somewhere between 2 or 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. The stretching exercise is fantastic. You don't need to stretch right after workouts or activities. You can stretch at the end of your day. I prefer to do it when I'm home, day's done, and I'm watching some TV. That's when I do my stretching through there. At least hold for 1 minute, ideally 2 minutes per side.